Good evening, ladies, and welcome to a Sunday market breakdown. This is going to be the first Sunday market breakdown of me, but I will do this every week, every Sunday evening. Tonight is a little bit late. Usually, we're going to do it a little bit sooner. I got a couple pairs here on the watch list, so let's go over them. First, we're going to start with US dollar yen. Now, as usual, we always start on the monthly, and then we go lower in the time frames. So what can we see on the monthly? Currently, we're at our monthly highs, bearish territory, and we could see that we closed under this monthly zone. And last month, we closed bearish impulsively and engulfing. So this means that potentially we can make a retrace, a correction towards this bullish M. Now, of course, I want to see some confirmation on the weekly. What can I see on the weekly? For quite some time, we've already been in an uptrend, which is pretty normal with the yen pairs. And now I can see 3 weeks ago, we had a very bearish engulfing close. And then 2 weeks ago, we also had a very bearish close. So what can we see? I see a head and shoulder pattern. Shoulder 1, the head, and potentially shoulder 2 on a very interesting supply and demand zone. Sellers, 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 sellers. So I'm very interested in looking for a short setup as soon as we hit the zone. Then the next setup that I'm looking for is pound USD. What can I see on the monthly? On the monthly previous month, we were rejecting this monthly high and we closed below this monthly high. But what can I also see is that we broke this previous monthly zone and we haven't retested this monthly zone yet. So I'm expecting the price to come back to the zone to make a potential retest for a long setup. Now, what can I see on the weekly? On the weekly, I can see a bullish M pattern. First leg to the upside, second leg down, third leg, and then the fourth leg. So I'm waiting for this zone to be tapped to look for a long setup on GBP USD. Then the next setup I'm looking at is Euro GBP. And as usual, what can we see on the monthly? On the monthly, I can first of all see a bullish M pattern. 1, 2, 3, fourth leg, and I see that we're currently reacting on this supply and demand zone. Now, what's also very interesting is when I put a line on this zone, I can see that we have a lot of good supply and demand. We have sellers, 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 but we also have buyers, sellers. So a very strong supply and demand zone that has proven to work in the past for both sellers and buyers. Now, considering we're trading above and considering now our monthly bullish M is activated, I'm very interested in looking for a long setup. Now, what can I see on the weekly? On the weekly, I can see that we're still making higher highs, higher lows, higher high, and currently we are trading at this low. And I can see previous week, we came to the low, took a lot of liquidity, and we closed bullish engulfing, creating an inverse head and shoulder pattern. Now, what's also interesting for me on the daily is on the daily I can see this pattern being confirmed as the inverse head and shoulder with a daily IC. So I'm waiting for the price to come back to this zone to look for a potential long setup. The next pair that I'm looking for is Euro AUD. Now, Euro AUD, what can I see on the monthly? I see a big bullish M. 1, 2, 3, fourth leg. And I see we're currently arriving at bullish territory. So I'm just waiting for this zone to be tapped to look for a potential long setup. What's also interesting on the weekly is that we're currently trading potentially against the weekly flat wall. We already arrived at this zone, but for me it's very important that the monthly zone has to be tapped first, and then I can only look for a long setup. Then the next pair that I'm looking for is GBP AUD. It's kind of the same price action as Euro AUD. First of all, what can I see on the monthly is that since 2016, we have been in a bullish uptrend, and I can see higher highs and higher lows. So bullish confirmation. Second thing that I see is that we're currently arriving at bullish territory. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're still trading between this low and this high, because previous month we have not broken this low with a body. So it's possible that the price still has to go a little bit more to the downside to grab liquidity here for the bulls for more upside momentum. Now, what can I see on the weekly? Same as Euro AUD. I see an impulse, correction, and then I see a very, very long impulse, basically a flat wall. And we're also arriving at bullish territory. So I'm just waiting for the price to hit my zone, and then we can look for potential setups. And last but not least, we have pound Swiss. Now, when we look on the monthly, I see that for the longest time, we have been going in a downtrend, which is kind of normal because Swiss is very strong. And what can I see? Previous month, we have managed to close above this zone. So currently, we're at this beginning of the correction. Now, this could potentially work against me because I know that we're trading at our all-time lows. We closed above the beginning of the correction, so it's possible that the bulls can kick in. Now, where do I want to see this? On the weekly. Now, what do I see on the weekly? I see that we have an impulse, correction, impulse to the downside, correction, and I can see that the bulls have tried making an inverse head and shoulder here. Shoulder 1, the head, shoulder 2. Now, this inverse head and shoulder has not been respected because I can see that we have closed below this zone 2 weeks ago, and previous week we have retested this zone. So for me, there's a lot of confirmation that the bears are very active in this region, so I'm looking forward to trading short towards at least the weekly low or monthly TP. Now, what do I want to see on the daily? Considering this is a phase 2 trade, I want to see bearish W's or pattern in patterns or reversals. So what do I have here? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. Shoulder 1. The head, potentially shoulder 2. And what can I also see? Shoulder 1, 1, 2, 3. Same shoulder. So many bearish confirmations on the daily. I can see on the monthly that we're in a downtrend, and I can also see in the weekly that the bulls have tried, but they have failed to push more to the upside. So for me, lots of bearish confirmation. Considering this is a pattern in a pattern, you can take a direct entry. I'm not going to take a direct entry here, especially because we are trading at our lows, so potentially the bulls can still kick in. So I'm waiting either for a reversal, and if our market structure is still bearish, I can take a bearish continuation at this zone. So this was the Sunday market breakdown. Obviously, there are a lot more pairs in the watch list. There are a lot more zones that still need to be tapped. If there is another interesting setup, I will share this within the week. And if not, yeah, I think this watch list is good enough. Anyway, happy trading, guys. Good luck, and see you in the week.